That's so frustrating. Guys, I like just made a video that was 17 minutes long, and it was just one digression after another, after another, after another. Like it was just a story after a story after story that had nothing to do with what I actually thought that I was coming on here to talk about. Sorry, I had to plug in my phone and now it's facing the other way. So I'm gonna keep looking over there because I think the camera's over there, but it's actually over here now. Um, anyways, what I was originally really caught up in tonight, something that I was thinking about that I was going to come on here and talk about, but then I don't know, man, I couldn't find my camera, and then my phone was like full, so I couldn't record it on my phone, and then my phone was almost dead, so I just said, I'll just go live till my phone dies. And then right when I'm like really into talking, of course my phone died. So um, yeah, but something that I have been thinking so much about lately, and something that has been really, really different this time. You know, I was saying in the previous video that I was making that, you know, for the first 8 months after I have a baby, life just feels like really messy, and I feel gross, and I feel overwhelmed. And, um, you know, people have asked me how things are now. How are things like, how is it having 4 kids, stuff like that. And I will say, like, every single time that we add to our family, it does feel busier. There's definitely this feeling of being busier, but that, you know, that first 8 months of being just feeling tired and gross and overwhelmed and things like that, that's not any different when you have more kids. You know, some people will say to me, like, oh, you're like super mom because you have 4 kids, and I can't even imagine. And I'm just like, listen, you're killing it too. Like having 1 kid, having 4 kids, I'm sure having 17 kids. In the first 8 messy months of having every kid, it's always the same. It's always overwhelming. It has nothing to do with the number of kids you have or anything like that. Really, the only thing that kind of seems to like increase with every child that I've had, I have noticed, is the fact that I naturally have less time for each child. And um, I think that that leaves me feeling a lot busier and more rushed in like everything that I have to do. And it leaves me feeling a lot more guilty because I want to have time for all my children. You know, I do. And I think that if I didn't feel like I didn't have enough time for them, I honestly might have kept having more kids. Um, but I do feel like I don't have a lot of time for them, which is funny. It's like, it's weird for me when I like really, really think about that because I'm like, I homeschool my kids. They're here with me 24 hours a day, and I still feel like I don't get enough time one on one with each of my kids. Like, I don't pay enough attention to them. Like, I don't give them enough of me. And, and I don't understand that because for most people in the world, you know, they manage to like fit all of the quality time. I feel like sometimes like I can do it even with, you know, the 24 hours in a day. Um, so yeah, like I mean, since having Matthew, oh, someone said, I like the way you don't yell at your kids. I yell at my kids. I don't yell at my kids on video, but I yell at my kids. What did I yell at my kids about today? I'm sure I yelled at my kids today. Anyways, sorry. I really, honestly, I'm just going to keep on doing what I did in the last video, but, um, you know, so a lot of people have asked me how it is since having Matthew and like, what's it like having 4 kids and stuff like that. And really it's just less time for each kid. But the feeling of being overwhelmed and like messy and like just like drowning in motherhood, it's exactly the same if you have 1 kid or 4. So, you know, sometimes I feel bad because I'll be out with like 3, 5, whatever, a number of other moms, and like someone will say to me like, oh wow, you're super mom, you're killing it, something like that, because you have 4 kids. And like, and I feel like that really like discredits all the moms who have like 1 kid or 2 kids, um, because you guys are like just as involved in it as I am. And I think that like one of the big things about motherhood that people don't think about a lot, I guess, is the fact that like, whether you have one kid or you have 10 kids, you still have completely given your life for other people. You're still putting other people's needs before yours. You're still thinking about other people before you. You're still giving up your time for other people. And it doesn't matter if you have 1 or 4 kids, you're still doing that. So, yeah, like since having Matthew, it has been much the same experience as having each of my other kids. I think that like one of the biggest difference and something that I've actually really struggled with since having Matthew is the fact that he is my last baby. He is the last baby that I will have. And what is hard about that? Okay, this is gonna sound so weird because sometimes like I think about how I'm gonna sound before I say things. I'm like, how am I gonna sound to other people? And then I'm like, that's gonna be weird, and this is gonna be weird. But um, every time that I had other kids, like when I had like I could have more kids. You know what I mean? Like after I had Jen, after I had Joe, I wasn't sure, honestly, but I was like, I could have more kids. We could still have more kids. And after I had Lily, I was like, we could have more kids. I mean, I really wasn't sure, but I was like, we could have more kids. But when I was pregnant with Matthew, we were very like, this is it. This is the last child that we'll have. We really want to still be able to spend quality time with each of our children. There was a lot of reasons that we made that decision. There were a lot of reasons that we made that decision, but there was this finality about having Matthew. This like, this is the end of all your children. This is the end of your childbearing years. I want to say. Okay, I really hope it's working now. For a while, it said that it wasn't doing anything. Um, yeah. So when I had Matthew, um, there was this immediate feeling of like, well, you know, as long as we were having babies, we were this like young family. And I was like a young woman, I suppose. And and then as soon as I had him, I remember this feeling of like, well, that's it. Now I just watch my children get old, which means that I get old and then I die. And it sounds so weird saying it. I know it does, but um, there's definitely been this feeling since Matthew was born of like, now I just get old till I die. That's the end of that. And I don't know, like with that feeling has come a lot of like really different thoughts about like life and like how do I want to spend the time before I die. And um, it sounds so morbid. It's so weird. It's so weird how like introducing a baby into your life could make you think about death so much, but it really has because, you know, we have no idea how long we have. And it's not like after I had Lily, I couldn't have gotten hit by a bus the next day. You know what I mean? But it's just like there's this finality to the family now. There's this, that's it. And now we just like watch them grow older and it just makes me feel old. And I feel like since I had Matthew, there has been a definite change in the way that like I view myself, and it's been a negative change. It's been this change where like a lot of days I look in the mirror and I'm like, wow, I really look like 10 years older. Like I look 10 years older than when I started having kids. And like I am 7 years older than when I started having kids. Like I am almost 10 years older. That's definitely the truth. But I feel like when I look at what I look like right after I had James, right after I had Joe, right after I had Lily, and then I look at pictures of like right after I had Matthew, I'm like, oh, I'm old now. I feel old. And it's weird. I'm 32, just in case anybody was wondering. People who like watch my channel for a long time, I expect them to just like know things about me, but then I'll say something in a video. I'll be like, I'm Middle Eastern, and people are like, what? I think that it froze again. That sucks. It sucks making live videos. I don't really know what to do now, because on my screen, I'm frozen. But I'm still getting comments and stuff like that for you. Oh, and someone says it's frozen, but they can hear me. I guess I'll just keep speaking then. Oh, that's frustrating. Okay, hold on 1 second. Oh no. Okay. Hold on.